Hi, I'm Ria, and I am going to tell you my unusual love story. When I was 12 years old, I always visit my grandma in the countryside, where I'd spend 2 months of summer vacation. Sometimes I think that's just my parents' way of getting rid of me. You see, growing up, I never felt as close to them as to my grandma. And I love my grandma's stories. One of them was about the spirits living in the underworld. One day, while I was playing in the river, I stumbled and fell on the waters. I did not know how to swim, and I was drowning. I flapped my arms like a bird, but my body was getting swallowed up by the water. Help! Suddenly, a pair of strong, muscular arms emerged and took me out of the water. It took me some time to catch my breath, and when I finally recovered, I looked at the man who saved my life. He has this long blonde hair, and he was naked. Be careful with this river, Ria. It can eat you alive. Who are you? Do you live here? Thank you so much for saving my life. My name is Ethan. We shook hands. I am from... And how did you know my name? You might not believe what I am going to tell you, and I don't think I'm even allowed to tell you. Come on, tell me. I promise that I won't tell anyone. I live in that rubber tree next to your house. Do you mean you are from the underworld? That's when I realized his long, pointy ears. He nodded to my excitement. My grandmother has always told me about your kind. It was the start of our beautiful friendship. Ethan and I spent the rest of the summer together, going to the river where he taught me how to swim, or sometimes he would visit me in my room from his tree branch. He would tell me about the underworld, a paradise filled with fruitful trees, mountains, friendly animals, and glowing caves. I was curious to see the underworld, but the only catch was that once you get into the underworld, you will not be able to come back. The underworld is where you become immortal. Anyway, that summer was so magical that every year, whenever I go back to see my grandma, I would spend some time meeting Ethan. One time, my grandma asked me why I was always going out. You always play in the river. Someone saw you talking to yourself. Are you okay? Do you have any problems you want to share? I never told anyone about Ethan. Even my young mind knew that if I start to tell people about Ethan, our friendship will be compromised. That was nothing, Grandma. There was this play in school that I was practicing in the river, so it appeared that I was talking to myself, I excused. From that day on, I had to be careful and make sure that no one else is around whenever I talk to Ethan. When I was 16, my grandma got seriously sick. We took her to the doctors, but they could not cure her. My family was helpless. One night, Ethan visited me in my room and told me what's happening. She will soon proceed to the underworld, Ria. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do if her time is up. Grandma eventually passed away, which made me really sad, and I missed her very much. 3 years passed, and I finally finished university. I found a job where I met a guy named Tom. He was an accomplished and influential guy, whom my parents liked a lot. They insisted that I do everything I can to get married to him. After dating him several times, I couldn't find myself liking him. He's arrogant and always talks about his work and money. My parents were disappointed when I refused. Think about it. This is our ticket to a better life, my father remarked. Ria, go out with Tom more often. Forget about love, because love fades. Look for the person who can give you a convenient life. Don't you just love the new sofa he got us? And the new designer bag too? They were so obsessed with Tom that they even set me up with a date with his parents to fix the wedding date. I was furious. Not knowing what to do, I went back to the countryside to see Ethan. He was my best friend and only he can understand. Ethan found me in my room, where we talk about the good old times. I was so happy to see him that I forgot about my worries. We ended up making love that evening. That made me realize what love means. I could not love anyone else because I always loved Ethan. He looked at my eyes and asked me to go with him to his world. Come to my world and be immortal like me. I am not sure, Ethan. Let me think about it. Our magical days went on for days. But our happy days were cut short when my parents found out where I was hiding. They became so aggressive that they dragged me back out of the house into the car. Ethan! I screamed. I managed to pull myself out of the car, and with Ethan, we escaped into the forest. When we reached the river, I told him to take me to the underworld. My love, I've thought it through. I'm ready to be a part of your world. Take me there. He kissed me on my lips, and slowly we walked into the river, never to reappear. So that explains why I am now living here in the underworld. People say that fairy tales don't come true, but for the two of us, they do. If you have enjoyed my story, please consider subscribing and liking this channel for more such content.